The silent treatment. The Galactic Assembly Hall floated in the neutral zone between three spiral arms of the Milky Way, a massive crystalline structure that defied conventional physics. Inside its grand chamber, representatives from 800 civilizations gathered for yet another emergency session about the same infuriating topic that had dominated their discussions for the past 73 years. Earth. Ambassador Krell of the Zentari Empire slammed his triple-jointed appendage on the speaking podium, causing ripples of energy to cascade through the holographic displays around him. His species had evolved on a high-gravity world, giving them dense bones and even denser patience, but even he had reached his limit. "The humans continue to ignore our summons," he announced to the assembly, his voice carrying the weight of decades of diplomatic failure. "This marks the 312th official invitation they have declined to acknowledge." The assembly erupted in a cacophony of sounds, from the harmonious whistles of the Avalons to the deep rumbles of the silicon-based Gorvaks. Every species expressed their frustration in their own unique way, but the message was universal. Earth's behavior was unprecedented and unacceptable. Minister Yaela of the Etherian Collective materialized at her designated platform, her translucent form shimmering with controlled irritation. Her people had achieved energy-based consciousness millennia ago and prided themselves on their patience and wisdom. Even they were growing weary of Earth's silence. "Perhaps we should consider that the humans simply cannot receive our messages," she suggested, though her tone indicated she didn't believe this herself. "Their technology may be more primitive than we assumed." A harsh laugh echoed through the chamber, from the section reserved for the warrior race known as the Thrakari. General Vorton stood, his battle-scarred carapace gleaming under the assembly's lights. His species had conquered 17 systems before joining the peaceful galactic community, and old habits died hard. "Primitive? They have fusion reactors, quantum computers, and they've decoded our mathematical primers we sent them 40 years ago. Our intelligence shows they've been intercepting and translating every single message. They understand us perfectly. They just don't care to respond." The revelation sent another wave of discussion through the assembly. In the history of the Galactic Assembly, no species had ever simply ignored first contact. Some had responded with fear, others with aggression, many with curiosity, but never with complete indifference. It was an insult to everything the assembly represented. Supreme Coordinator Nexus, an artificial intelligence that governed the proceedings with perfect neutrality, projected itself as a geometric pattern of light at the center of the chamber. The being had been created by the combined effort of 50 species, specifically to manage galactic affairs without bias. Analysis complete, it announced in its synthesized voice that somehow managed to convey concern. Earth's behavior pattern suggests deliberate non-engagement. Probability of technical failure, 0.3%. Probability of inability to respond, 0.7%. Probability of intentional silence, 99%. Ambassador. Krell's 6 eyes narrowed, a sign of deep contemplation among his people. He had spent the last decade studying everything they knew about humans. Their history was violent, chaotic, and showed a species that had barely survived its own self-destructive tendencies. They had nearly destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons, poisoned their own atmosphere, and fought countless wars over resources that the galaxy could provide in abundance. Yet somehow, they had pulled back from the brink each time, showing a resilience that was both admirable and concerning. The Zentari Empire had been spacefaring for 3,000 years. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, witnessed the birth of stars and the death of worlds. In all that time, they had learned one universal truth about intelligent life. It sought connection. Every species, no matter how different, eventually realized that isolation in the vast cosmos was not just lonely, but dangerous. The galaxy was full of threats that no single world could face alone. Ancient machines left behind by extinct civilizations, rogue black holes, hostile species that refused to join the assembly, and cosmic phenomena that defied understanding. Minister Yaela drifted closer to the central platform, her energy field pulsing with each thought. I have consulted our historical archives, she said, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. There is no precedent for this situation. When the Corvani isolated themselves, it was only for 2 centuries, and they maintained minimal communication. When the deep dwellers retreated to their ocean worlds, they still sent ambassadors. Earth has given us nothing but silence for over 7 decades. The Assembly's mood grew darker. Some representatives began calling for punitive measures. Others suggested Earth should be quarantined until they learned proper galactic etiquette. The warrior races spoke of teaching humanity a lesson in respect. The peaceful species worried about setting dangerous precedents. The debate raged for hours, with no consensus in sight. General Vorthon stood again, his massive frame casting shadows across several smaller delegates. The Thrakari propose a solution, he announced, causing immediate silence. His species rarely proposed anything that didn't involve weapons, so everyone listened carefully. We send a fleet, not to attack, but to surround their world. Make it impossible for them to ignore us. Force them to acknowledge our existence and explain their rudeness. The proposal was radical, but it had merit. The Assembly had never forced first contact before, but Earth's behavior was pushing them into unexplored territory. The debate that followed was intense. Legal experts argued about the implications. Military strategists discussed logistics. Philosophers questioned the ethics. Scientists wondered what Earth might be hiding that made them so confident in their isolation. Ambassador Krell found himself studying the holographic image of Earth that floated above the Assembly. It was a beautiful world, blue and green with swirling white clouds. Their long-range scans showed massive cities, satellites in orbit, and even a permanent base on their moon. They were clearly an advanced civilization by pre-spaceflight standards. So why did they act like the galaxy didn't exist? As the debate continued, something nagged at Krell's mind. In his years of diplomatic service, he had learned to recognize patterns. Earth's silence wasn't random or chaotic. It was consistent, deliberate, almost strategic. They had ignored every attempt at contact with the same methodical determination. Not once had they slipped up and responded, not even to reject communication. It was as if they were following a carefully planned protocol. Supreme Coordinator Nexus called for order as the debate threatened to devolve into chaos. A vote will be taken, it announced. All in favor of the Thrakari proposal to dispatch a fleet to Earth's system for the purpose of establishing mandatory contact. The voting began, and Krell watched as the tally climbed. The warrior races voted yes immediately. The traders, frustrated by Earth's refusal to open markets, joined them. Even some of the peaceful species, exhausted by decades of being ignored, cast their votes in favor. When the final count appeared, it was overwhelming. 637 civilizations in favor, 112 opposed, 51 abstaining. The motion passes, Nexus announced. A combined fleet of 1,000 vessels will be assembled from volunteer civilizations. The fleet will proceed to Earth's system in 90 standard days. Upon arrival, they will surround the planet and demand immediate communication with Earth's leadership. If Earth continues to refuse contact, the Assembly will consider more severe measures. As the Assembly dispersed, Ambassador Krell lingered, still studying Earth's image. Something about this entire situation felt wrong. In his experience, species that ignored the galaxy either had something to hide or something to protect. He wondered which category humanity fell into. His aide, a young Zentari named Drex, approached with a data pad. Ambassador, I've compiled all our intelligence on Earth from the last decade. There's something curious in the patterns. Krell took the pad and scanned through the data. His eyes widened as he noticed what Drex had found. Earth's orbital defense. Satellites had been steadily increasing in number. Their space program, while still primitive by galactic standards, had accelerated dramatically in the past 20 years. Most interesting of all, their deep space telescopes were all pointed at specific coordinates that corresponded with major galactic civilizations. They're watching us, Krell whispered. They know exactly where we are and what we're doing. Drex nodded, nervously. There's more, Ambassador. Our quantum scanners detected something unusual last month. For just a fraction of a second, something appeared near our outer monitoring stations. Something that shouldn't have been there. It disappeared before we could identify it, but the energy signature was unlike anything in our database. Krell felt a chill run through his carapace, an unusual sensation for his species. What if Earth's silence wasn't born from ignorance or arrogance? What if it was calculated? What if humanity knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't? The revelation. 90 days passed like lightning for some species and an eternity for others. The combined fleet assembled at the edge of Earth's solar system was the largest peaceful armada in galactic history. 1,000 ships from over 100 civilizations hung in perfect formation, their combined mass creating measurable gravitational distortions in local space. The vessels ranged from the sleek silver needles of the Irani to the massive cubic fortresses of the Blockan Confederation. Each ship represented the peak of their civilization's technology, brought together for a single purpose: to make Earth acknowledge the galaxy's existence. Admiral Thorne of the combined fleet stood on the bridge of the flagship Cosmic Unity, a vessel specifically constructed for this mission by the combined effort of 12 species. He was human in appearance, or rather he belonged to the Altarians, who had evolved a remarkably similar form through convergent evolution. It was this similarity that had made him the perfect choice to lead the fleet. The Assembly hoped his appearance might make humanity more receptive. "All vessels report ready," his operations officer announced. "The Thrakari battlecruisers are maintaining aggressive posture at the fleet's front. The Etherian energy vessels are powered up for diplomatic broadcast. The Zentari analytical ships have completed their deep scans of the system." Admiral Thorne nodded, studying the tactical display that showed Earth in the distance. The blue planet continued its rotation, seemingly oblivious to the massive fleet approaching. "No response to our arrival transmission?" "Negative, Admiral. Earth maintains radio silence on all frequencies. However, their orbital defense platforms have oriented themselves toward our position. They know we're here." The Admiral felt unease creep through him. In the 3 months since the Assembly's vote, he had studied every piece of information available about humanity. Their history was fascinating and terrifying in equal measure. They had split the atom before achieving spaceflight. They had connected their entire world with information networks while still fighting wars over territorial boundaries. They were a paradox of advancement and primitiveness that defied easy categorization. "Begin the approach," Thorne ordered. "Standard diplomatic formation. Weapons powered down, but shields at maximum. We're here to talk, not fight." The fleet moved forward in perfect synchronization, a testament to the cooperation between species that had once been enemies. As they passed the orbit of the outer planets, more details about Earth's system became clear. The scans showed extensive mining operations in their asteroid belt, previously undetected due to their low energy signatures. Mars had several habitats that weren't there in their last survey 50 years ago. Most surprisingly, there were structures on several moons of Jupiter and Saturn that appeared to be research stations. "Admiral," the Zentari science officer called out, her voice tight with concern. "I'm detecting gravitational anomalies throughout the system. They're subtle, but they form a pattern. It's almost like a detection grid." Before Thorne could respond, something extraordinary happened. Space itself seemed to ripple around Earth. And suddenly, where there had been empty space, there were ships. Not just a few ships, hundreds of them, then thousands. Human vessels materialized out of nowhere, surrounding their world in a defensive sphere that made the galactic fleet look suddenly less impressive. The bridge erupted in chaos. Officers shouted reports and warnings. Sensors screamed as they tried to process what they were seeing. The human ships were unlike anything in the galactic database. They were angular, utilitarian, and bristling with weapons that the sensors couldn't identify. More disturbing was how they had appeared. The galaxy had no technology that could hide ships so completely. Admiral Thorne raised his hand for silence. "Maintain formation. No hostile actions. Communications, open all channels." Before he could send a message, every screen on every ship in the galactic fleet activated simultaneously. The image that appeared was a human woman in a simple black uniform. She appeared to be in her 50s, with gray streaking through her dark hair and eyes that held a weight of knowledge that seemed impossible for such a young species. "Greetings, combined galactic fleet," she said, in perfect galactic standard, a language that supposedly took years to master. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Command. We've been expecting you." The statement sent shockwaves through the fleet. Earth had never responded to any communication, yet they spoke the galactic language fluently. They had never acknowledged the assembly's existence, yet they knew exactly who was in the fleet. Admiral Thorne recovered first. "Admiral Chen, I am Admiral Thorne of the Combined Fleet. We are here on behalf of the Galactic Assembly to formally request Earth's participation in the galactic community. Your silence over the past 7 decades has been concerning to member civilizations." Chen smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Our silence has been deliberate, Admiral Thorne. We've been busy preparing." "Preparing for what?" Thorne asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "For this moment," Chen replied. "You see, when we first detected your signals 73 years ago, we had a choice to make. We could respond immediately, join your assembly, and hope for the best. Or we could remain silent, study you, learn from you, and prepare ourselves to meet you as equals rather than supplicants." The implication of her words was staggering. Earth had been watching and learning for 7 decades, developing their technology in secret while the galaxy debated what to do about their silence. "General," Vorthan's voice boomed across the communication channel from his Thrakari battleship. "You dare to ignore the combined will of 800 civilizations? Your arrogance will be your downfall, primitive humans." Chen's expression didn't change. General Vorthan of the Thrakari Empire, age, approximately 300 Earth years, commanded the subjugation of Kepler 442b and the pacification of the Rigel colonies. Your tactics prefer overwhelming force and psychological warfare. Your ships, while impressive, have a critical weakness in their power distribution systems, particularly at the junction between your main reactor and your weapon arrays. The general's response was stunned silence. The human had not only identified him personally, but had apparently analyzed weaknesses in Thrakari technology that had taken centuries to develop. Chen continued, her voice calm and measured. "Minister Yaela of the Etherian Collective, your energy-based consciousness is fascinating. We've developed similar technology, though we chose to remain in physical form. Ambassador Krell of the Zentari Empire, your suspicions about us were correct. We have been watching. And Supreme Coordinator Nexus, we're particularly impressed with your quantum processing architecture. We've incorporated similar designs into our own artificial intelligence systems. The revelation that Earth had detailed intelligence on every major galactic power was disturbing enough. The suggestion that they had replicated or even improved upon galactic technology was almost impossible to believe." "You're lying," insisted a voice from the Avalon delegation. "No species could advance so quickly. It's taken us millennia to develop our technology." Chen gestured to someone off-screen and new images appeared on the displays. They showed human colonies on distant worlds that the galaxy hadn't even catalogued yet. They showed human ships using faster-than-light travel methods that didn't match any known technology. Most shocking of all, they showed a human research station built around a black hole, something only the most advanced civilizations had attempted. "While you debated whether to answer your calls," Chen explained, "we were busy. We reverse-engineered your communication technology from the signals you sent. We studied your languages, your cultures, your histories. Every transmission you've ever sent contained data about your civilizations, and we learned from all of it. We developed our own technology, incorporating the best of what we learned from you while adding our own innovations." Admiral Thorne felt the situation slipping away from him. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. The younger species was supposed to be awed by the might and wisdom of the galactic community. They were supposed to be eager to join, grateful for the invitation. Earth was neither. Admiral Thorne felt the situation slipping away from him. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. The younger species was supposed to be awed by the might and wisdom of the galactic community. They were supposed to be eager to join, grateful for the invitation. Earth was neither. "Why reveal yourselves now?" he asked. "You could have remained hidden." "Because you forced our hand," Chen replied. "Your fleet arriving here triggered the next phase of our plan. You see, we knew this day would come, the day when the galaxy would no longer tolerate our silence, so we prepared for it. The 1,000 ships surrounding Earth are just our home defense fleet. We have 5 more fleets of similar size stationed throughout the galaxy." The claim was so outrageous that many thought it was a bluff, until sensor alerts began flooding in from across the galaxy. Human ships were being detected near major trade routes, important systems, and even near the Galactic Assembly itself. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that the galaxy couldn't detect. "Impossible," breathed Minister Yaela. "We would have known. We would have seen you." "You saw what we wanted you to see," Chen said. "Now let's discuss terms." "Terms?" Admiral Thorne was confused. "Terms for what?" "For Earth's membership in the Galactic Assembly," Chen replied. "We're ready to join, but not as a junior member or a protectorate. We join as equals with full voting rights and a permanent seat on the Security Council. We'll share some of our technology, particularly our stealth systems and our improved FTL drives. In return, we want access to the galactic database and trade agreements with all member civilizations." The audacity of the demands should have been insulting. A species that had been spacefaring for less than a century was demanding equal status with civilizations that had existed for millennia. But the demonstration of their capabilities made it clear that Earth wasn't asking for permission. They were negotiating from a position of strength. General Vorthan, never one to back down from a challenge, powered up his weapons. "You may have ships, but you're still outnumbered. 1,000 of the galaxy's finest vessels against your defensive fleet." Chen's smile grew slightly wider. "General, I wouldn't do that if I were you." She nodded to someone off-screen. "Demonstration Alpha, please." What happened next would be debated in military academies for centuries. Every weapon on every human ship fired simultaneously, but not at the Galactic Fleet. Instead, they targeted empty space in a precisely coordinated pattern. The beams of energy created a geometric pattern that surrounded the entire Galactic Fleet. Then, space itself seemed to shift, and suddenly the fleet was no longer at Earth. They were a full light year away, moved instantly without any sensation of travel. The shock of being displaced so easily was profound. The technology required to move 1,000 ships instantly across a light year was beyond anything the galaxy possessed. It was a clear message that Earth could have ended the confrontation at any moment, but chose to make a point instead. Chen's image appeared on the screens again, now showing Earth in the background, a full light year away. "We developed that particular technology by combining Etherian energy manipulation, Zentari quantum mechanics, and Thrakari power generation systems. We call it the displacement field. It's purely defensive. We can move threats away, but can't use it offensively. We have no interest in conquering or controlling anyone. We just want to be left alone to develop in peace, while also benefiting from what the galaxy has to offer." Admiral Thorne realized he was witnessing a historic moment. Earth hadn't ignored the galaxy out of arrogance or ignorance. They had done it out of caution and strategic planning. They had used the time to ensure that when they did reveal themselves, they would do so from a position where they couldn't be exploited or controlled. "I'll need to consult with the Galactic Assembly," Thorne said, his voice formal, but respectful. "Of course," Chen replied. "We'll give you 73 hours to decide, the same amount of time you gave us before arriving with your fleet. Our terms are non-negotiable, equal membership or no membership. We're perfectly content to continue as we have been, but we thought it might be better for everyone if we worked together, rather than in parallel." As the communication ended, and the Galactic Fleet began the journey back to the Assembly, Ambassador Krell stood on his ship's observation deck, watching the distant light of Earth's sun. He had been right all along. Earth's silence had been strategic, and humanity had played the long game perfectly. His aide Drex joined him, still processing what they had witnessed. "Ambassador, do you think the Assembly will accept their terms?" Krell's multiple eyes focused. On different stars, each one potentially hiding human vessels they couldn't detect. They'll accept, he said with certainty. They have no choice. Earth just demonstrated that they're already our equals, whether we acknowledge it or not. The only question is whether we're wise enough to make them our allies, rather than our rivals. The galaxy had sent 1,000 warships to force Earth to acknowledge them. Instead, Earth had forced the galaxy to acknowledge a new truth that humanity was ready to take their place among the stars, not as students or subordinates, but as equals. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human participation was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.